Ever found yourself being told a ghost story by a friend and thinking to yourself, that's not so scary? I found myself in that position many times over the years, and although some would argue I'm getting too old to be paying attention to such stories, I often find myself bitterly disappointed at my friends' efforts to scare me. That was until Frank decided to tell me a story about the sad girl. Upon hearing the name, I instantly thought to myself, Frank, you poor soul, you've fallen right into the generic before you even began. But I still allowed him to continue his story out of fairness. Frank told me about the sad girl. She wasn't a ghost or a monster. She was meant to be something different, something between this world and the next. Frank claimed she would appear on street corners, always crouched over and weeping, with her face hidden. Frank said that she could appear at any point, even broad daylight. I had to hand it to Frank. That was a little different from the usual don't go out at night scares my other friends used. Frank said this sad girl would just sit and cry until someone approached her, at which point she would disappear. Frank added that after the encounter, most who saw the sad girl would have an accident of some description, rarely fatal, but enough to cause alarm, such as breaking a leg or similar. I congratulated Frank on the story and decided to make my way home, convinced that while Frank's story was definitely one of the better, it was not going to scare me that much in the long run. However, it only took me a few moments to become unnerved, when much to my surprise, I found a girl, sitting on the corner of the street, crying, her face hidden as she wrapped her arms around her knees. A part of me knew Frank must have decided to play a prank on me, and I was tempted to approach the girl. I ultimately backed away and promptly went in the opposite direction. The next day I called up Frank and he claimed he never did anything. I let it pass, but I still suspect he's trying to scare me. Nevertheless, I tend to take the longer route home these days, just in case.